Tonight's topic is an interesting one. It's finding someone special, healing, hoping, and putting yourself out there. So I like to look at that topic as it can be not just a significant other, but also just special people in your life, like friends. Ray and I were talking about the topic earlier in the car, and I was like, honestly, when it comes to relationships, I don't necessarily relate too much. Like I've had more friendship breakups than I've had relationship breakups. And so looking at it from all angles is how I want to go into this topic tonight. But yeah, I'll let Ray and Monica take it away. They got a couple of things prepared for us.
Yeah, basically the topic is going to be the concept of relationships in general, whether that is a romantic relationship or, if you're just looking for someone, you haven't been having to heal from anything, and just having an idea of what it is that being more intentional about finding something that fits who you're looking for, so that hopefully there's less of the breakups happening in general. Like, who is your ideal partner and what does that look like for you? And who isn't?
Who
Yeah.
isn't is a good one.
So, Monica, do you want me to just go into what I have prepared, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, go ahead and I'll share it while you're chatting.
Okay. All right. So, who could this Zoom be for? It can be for a number of people. Somebody looking to attract a partner, somebody looking to make more friends, better friends, cooler friends, someone who's looking to heal after a bad breakup or a not so recent breakup, someone who's looking to improve the quality of their social life in general. And I'd imagine that's a lot of us here in this room. Okay, so when it comes to finding someone special, that can apply to friends, that can apply to relationships. There's really two sort of aspects to look at it from. There's the inside world and the outside world. So the inside world is directly related to you. So with that being said, I have an exercise. First question to ask yourself,
Coming.
okay, you're good, is what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for friends? Are you looking for a bigger social circle? More people to do stuff with? Are you looking for a relationship? What exactly are you looking for? And once you have that nailed down, you can start this writing exercise that I have prepared. So, the first exercise is creating your ideal person. So, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down with a piece of paper and you're going to write a list of all the traits of your ideal person. So, what does that mean? Start with the inner qualities and then go to the outer qualities. So, with the inner qualities, what personality traits do they have? Are they smart? Are they kind? Are they strong? Are they silly? Are they stoic? What kind of hobbies do they have? What do they like to do in their spare time? What's their relationship like with their family? That's very important that people don't consider until it's too late.
I agree.
Whatever is important to you on a mental, personal, emotional, spiritual level, you're really looking for the intangibles when you're looking for the inner qualities of people.
I
And with this
agree. And
list,
prioritizing it, right?
exactly. So with this list, go crazy. This is your dream sheet. This is your ideal person. And the biggest thing that's going to help you prioritize what's important is the question, what don't you want in this person? Do they sleep in? Do they not sleep in? Are they an early bird? Whatever. How do they eat? So next up, physical qualities. What do they look like?
Well, wait, give it a
Oh,
second. I think
you want that
people
to
should,
marinate?
yeah, just a little
Let
bit.
that marinate.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I
Let it-
mean, and I'll just share my own personal experience. Obviously, I'm in a different place today than I was, let's say, 5 years ago. When it came to relationships for me, I know in my 20s, well, actually, from the age of 18, I had told myself I wanted to be single all of my 20s. So that's kind of how I was operating in my social sphere was like, okay, I'm not really looking for a significant other. But I knew that if there was somebody who would match my speed, I had an idea of what kind of qualities I was looking for, almost to a point where I thought that person didn't exist. But because I wasn't necessarily looking for them, it was just something I had in the back of my mind. Like, oh, if I were to get into a relationship with someone, they would be like X, Y, and Z. And it's interesting because even though I didn't necessarily write those things down, or specifically like write it out like this exercise to kind of create that person. That
You put
is
the
how,
energy out there.
yes, I definitely did. And that's how I felt when I met Ray, to a point where I was like, is this real? Like, this is crazy. And I was 23 when I met him. So it threw my whole plans off because I was like, man, I feel like I'm still in my early 20s. Like, and then this guy comes around. And it was like all the things that I was looking for that I really didn't think were going to be out there. I had to also heal that mindset too of thinking that person wasn't real because like there was a moment in our relationship in the beginning where it was almost like I was self-sabotaging, like this is too good to be true type of thing. So yeah, a lot comes with that, but I think it's like you said, Monica, putting the energy out there, it made it happen. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say the same thing as Liz. Like Ray's over there, like it's me. Um, no,
What
but
can I
it's so
say?
true because it's so true because you do get in your own way sometimes. And like with all of our practices and pretty much every call we talk about awareness and recognizing like, dang it, what am I doing right now? Like this is a good thing. Why don't I just see what happens? Worst, that's what you're going to do with anybody anyways. So you might as well put your best foot forward and keep your awareness up for when the things don't go the way that they ought to be or things that you do or don't want. But if things keep coasting, just let it ride, baby. Like if it's great, let it be great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, we can go into the physical
And then
quality.
I also
Oh,
love
go
what
ahead.
Vita said where she's gonna revisit this later because it's like kind of an in-depth thing and you want to pay attention to what we're saying and all that jazz. So
Yeah, don't
I
rush into
totally,
your
yeah.
person.
Absolutely not. And
Just pay
I like
attention.
to meditate before I do my thing because I created one of these like master lists and I had the same thought of like, oh, this is never going to happen, but I'm going to make one because it seems like a cute idea and it was all color coded and I forgot all about it until one day it manifested and I was like, this is weird. But it took time, I sat with it for a bit and prioritized and revised and so yeah, feel free to save this for yourself.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray. What's next?
Okay, so those are, the inner qualities. Those are the qualities that, they don't really go away. They're the most important qualities by most people's standards. However, there's also physical qualities that are also important by a lot of people's standards. So, what does this person look like? You know, get granular with it. What eye color do they have? What color hair? What does their body look like? What's their style? How do they dress? What sort of job do they have? Whatever is important to you physically, write it down. And then also the flip side of what don't you want? What are your physical deal breakers? And this list with the inner qualities and the physical qualities, this can be as granular as you want for an ideal partner, or it can be as open as you want for maybe a friend that you're looking to include into your life. I'm sure physical qualities probably don't matter as much when it comes to friendship as it does with, an intimate relationship. Maybe for some people it
I was gonna
does.
say, how so?
Well,
Well, because like,
let's say
if they're your homie, you might not care necessarily what color their eyes are. But if you're like, I love people with blue eyes, I definitely
Mm,
can picture myself with a person with blue eyes or whatever it is. Like, you know,
exactly.
I'm
okay,
not
that
going to
makes
stop being
sense.
friends with you, Jackie, because you don't have blue eyes.
I think it could be physical too, of like you were saying, picture like your friends or the person you want to be with, but it could be like on a friend level, like you want to try running. Well, then you
Hmm.
need somebody who like they don't necessarily have to be a pro athlete, but you
Hmm.
need somebody who's at minimum interested in running with you or going to the gym together or something like that. So I feel like that could factor in.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
what
I
I
was going
was
to say the same
thinking.
thing about like
That's
hiking. Like you want
that's where my
somebody who
head was
wants
at.
to,
Yeah, like the period that I'm in right now is it's not even so much that I'm trying to attract friends. I'm actually going out there and networking, not only networking professionally, but just networking to be around and find like-minded people because I live in a town that is like, from my box, my perspective is just, I don't feel like I have that many people and that are into the same things that I am. And I'm trying to change that. So I'm literally throwing myself into the fray to make that happen. But one of the things that I like being active, I like being outside. I want to hang out with people. And I don't want to necessarily hang out with like an Adonis or someone who's like way physically active, but people who, yeah, like I want to go to the beach and I want to go swim and I want to go hiking, or, I just want to go do those kinds of things because that's what I like to do.
100%. All right. So with that, now that you have your list completed, ask yourself, how likely is this person with every single one of these qualities? How likely is this person to exist? So depending on how granular you were with this exercise, it could range from, oh yeah, this person's right next to me. This person's on that Zoom right now. Or, hey, there's, this is a 1 in 8 billion chance that this person might exist.
Right.
But that's okay. The important part is you're putting the mental energy towards doing this exercise and you're putting it out there. The most important things will come back to you. So don't worry about if you have, too many standards. It'll figure itself out. So now that you've figured out your ideal person, it's time to look in the mirror and do the inner work. At this point, you ask yourself in the most objective way possible, would this person want to be with me? And I say this not to make you feel bad about yourself, but to bring
Yeah.
awareness on how you can improve. So what sort of factors can you improve on? So what
Right.
what sort of things can I do to make myself more desirable to somebody like this? And then start doing those things. So let's say you want somebody in your life that's really fit. If you're a couch potato and you hate exercise, there's an instant kind of mismatch there. So what you can do,
Right.
start going to the gym. You can start eating healthy. Let's say you want somebody smart as a friend or as a partner. Start reading some books, start gaining knowledge, start learning to articulate yourself in a positive way. You know, if you're looking to meet somebody socially, maybe a mentor or something, have a better social life in general, wherever that is. So, knowing other people that can introduce you to other people. Another thing is having goals. A lot of people don't have written goals. Write down your goals, make steps to achieve them. And that goes a long way with a lot of people. I don't
It's
know.
attractive, like having
Mhm.
seeing somebody who's ambitious, right?
Right.
For most
Almost
people.
universally. Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say for most people, like regardless of what it might be, but seeing someone who's ambitious and has that courage to just go after what they want, that's
Mhm.
hot, no matter whether it's man or female, male or female, like you want somebody who's out here doing things and has a life and seems like they're gonna bring something to your life, right? Somebody
Mhm.
who's valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have anything about that or what I've said so far?
There's that saying
Yeah.
of like, if you want a good partner, be a good
Hmm.
partner. And I think a lot of that goes into that inner work.
Hmm.
Or you'll hear people say, like, there's no good people out here. Like, where are you? Like, where are you going?
Yeah.
That's on you to figure out if you're in a pool of a cesspool or a fun vibrant pool, and do you kick it in that pool, or are you
Hmm.
kicking it in the cruddy pool where there's probably not anybody good, or are
Mm.
you not even stepping in the pool?
Hmm.
Those are the things that I think this part is really good, because you have to be honest with yourself about, if I want Adonis, where does Adonis hang out?
Yeah.
Jim.
Right.
Daniel, I see that hand.
Daniel Son.
Okay, so you have to bear with me. I'm at the gym right now. I completely forgot about this morning. I'm hanging out with a couple of buddies. But no, I wanted to touch on how the little bit that I caught on earlier in the show this way, when we are going over the inner work of what you want to do for yourself and also how you see yourself in the future. It resonated with me because I was kind of doing something similar to that with another buddy of mine. And the example that he gave me was like, hey, like I'm this kind of person right now, but his name is Logan, so I'll use his name. I'm Logan right now, but what is Logan 2.0 going to be in 2025? And then he did that same thing with me as well. So it's like, all right, you're Daniel, you're working at Soda Wine and more W2, but that's not going to be your future. What is Daniel 2.0? How
Hmm.
are you going to turn into the Giga Chad if you will? That mean that they're going. And eventually I was like, oh yeah, doing your 2.0 is going to be real estate full time. He's going to be working his butt off in the gym and he's going to be somewhat on a paleo diet doing, whatever he's got to do. And this is like probably back in July last year. Not
So
even a full year into it. And I'm kind of doing what I just mentioned now, minus like an outside spend that I want to. But now I'm doing the paleo diet. I'm doing the real estate full time and it works as long as like I wake up in the mirror every day, look at myself when I'm brushing my teeth, going like, yeah, my time will come. My time will come. It's just a matter of at least 1% every single day, like you mentioned,
absolutely.
just looking at how you see yourself future.
Mm-hmm.
100%. You're
I
killing it,
love
bro.
that.
I love
Yeah.
that.
On that subject, another way to look at this question is what type of person would this ideal person want to be with? And acting from there, within the realm of authenticity.
Sure.
But okay, so once you have that, here's where it gets grimy. So before we embark into the outer world, we're going to do a journaling exercise that involves healing, awareness, and pattern recognition. So the prescription for this exercise is set a timer for 1 hour, and you're going to get your journal out and you're going to start writing. You're going to write uncensored about you and your relationships, and you're going to dissect your relationships from a subjective point of view. So you're going to write stream of consciousness. And if you don't know what that means whatever you're thinking is instantly going down on the paper. This way, you're connecting with your subconscious mind. And this is for you and you only. Don't judge anything that you're writing down. It doesn't matter how dark it is, how deep it is, if it sounds silly. This is for you. Get it out onto paper, worry about it later, but just have it flowing for an hour. And that's a long time and that's a lot of writing for a lot of people, but anybody familiar with the book The Artist's Way is familiar with the concept of morning pages. And Julia Cameron, the author for that book, talks about how the gold is on that third page. So for morning pages, you write 3 pages a day, and the gold is on that third page. After you're already exhausted, you've already shut down your inner critic by writing just so much. So that's why there's an hour time limit. You want to dig in there as deep as you can get. So once you do that, go on a walk, go work out, go outside, go grocery shopping, do anything besides being where you were when you were writing. You're going to get out of that state that you were in, however negative, however positive, however emotional that state was, however subjective that state was. You're going to remove yourself from there, close the journal, go on a walk. Then, after whatever allotted amount of time, go back to the journal and reread it. And you're going to look at it from a more objective point of view. You're separating yourself from the emotions that you had while you're writing. And now you're looking at it, looking for any sort of patterns, any sort of, what was the tone? What sort of words were you using? Were they very harsh words? Were they very soft words? Were you very forgiving? Were you very, pointed? Over the
Did you make a
course,
bunch of excuses?
yeah. Who are you
Where did the
blaming?
blame lay? Yeah.
So the major, themes that you want to think about during both of these writing sessions is your major takeaways from these relationships. This is what I liked, this is what I didn't like. How did I show up? How good of a partner was I? What were my feelings about certain events or certain situations or certain people? What caused X? X could be anything. What worked, what didn't. I think I said that already. Be honest with yourself and your own faults in the relationship. You can't change other people, you can only change yourself. What could you have done better? The overall most important part is what sort of patterns have you recognized in the course of your relationships? These are the things that are going to give you awareness on how you relate to other people, both on a friend level and on a relationship level. And this isn't a fun exercise to do by any means, but it's very, very rewarding provided you actually take the time to do it. The awareness that you gain is extremely powerful. G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
It's like
And
free
once,
therapy.
exactly, it's therapy with yourself.
Yeah.
Um, you're playing both roles. So that's the writing exercise for inner work. With that, you can also talk with trusted friends. If you know you have a friend who knows you well enough and knows you well enough that you're okay with getting your feelings hurt, that's the person you want to go to. You want to go to the people that have what you want or people with knowledge. You can't just be going to your bestie who's been in failed relationship after failed relationship. They're not going to be able to help you have a great relationship. That being said, therapy is also an option. And overall inner world considerations before moving to the outer world. There are 8 billion people in this world. You're bound to find somebody that's special or that falls under what you're looking for in general. Nobody's perfect. Give people grace, obviously within reason. Everybody has trauma. Finding somebody special is largely about what sort of traumas you're willing to put up with or deal with, and how well their trauma interacts with your trauma.
Because if you're constantly triggering each other's traumas,
Mhm.
like that's not fun. Unless you're able to heal through it because of the triggers. So yeah.
That's what, like, choosing a partner that is also committed to growth is important, because that can be an upfront agreement that you have with each other. Like, hey, we need to talk about shit. And if we can't talk about shit, then there ain't shit to talk about.
Yep.
Hello.
Um,
Tell them. Let them know.
so yeah. And then moving into the outside world, there's you just created a huge ball of intent by creating that list and by putting the energy and effort into finding your patterns, your faults, and you're also doing your own thing. You're going to the gym, you're doing it right, you're eating well. All of those create a very strong magnet, but you can't go out and search for this one specific person. You have to have a freedom of outcome. You have to let this person come to you, essentially. And I mean that
Yeah.
on a spiritual level, not on a, hey, this person, they can come to me.
Random every
Yeah.
person that walks up to you.
Yeah, no, not like that. This is,
Agreed.
and this is how you step into the outside world. You have, this is my ideal person, but I'm open to being convinced otherwise if, certain things aren't met.
Might be in a different package.
Right. So I don't know if anybody has anything before we move on. Lauren?
So Ramon and I have known each other for a very long time. And you mentioned morning pages, and I can give testimony to that. Morning pages, I've gone through the artist way like twice, like really absorbed and ate it up wholeheartedly. And the first couple weeks was very hard because my brain goes all over the place. I get very distracted. But it's so crazy with those pages because it's almost like they start speaking to you. I mean, they're literally not speaking to you. So, I mean, don't get crazy like that. But you start seeing patterns in what's going on through your sensor. And for me, my experience when I was doing those morning pages is it's like that sensor in the book, it talks about like your inner child and nurturing your inner child. And that sensor or that inner child needed to get all of that angst and pent up frustration, whatever it was, out. And once it did, I was able to start making connections of like, this is what I want to do, or, I thought I wanted this, I don't want this in my life. And it almost kind of acts like a compass. But yeah, so I would definitely give it a try. But if you just got to grind. For me, it took me, like I said, a couple weeks, but you just got to grind through it and things will start making sense.
I highly recommend journaling for that exact reason.
Mhm.
Agreed.
It lets you, let's say you want to organize, you're a kid, right? You want to organize all the toys that you have. What's step one? You got to throw all your toys on the floor and then put them where they need to go.
Gather your mess.
Exactly. First,
Yeah.
you got to acknowledge there's a mess. Then you got to look at the mess and start picking out where things are supposed to get filed. And journaling helps with that, whether it's through stream of consciousness or through prompts or both. Very, very beneficial, and I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the stream of consciousness and you can get distracted, like Lauren said, I recommend putting on like a focus playlist. It's insane how much that helps keep your brain like just flowing, and because I feel like it occupies a part of your brain from having to like find something to do. And so just listening to that music keeps that side occupied so you can just flow. I find it so much easier if I put on some kind of like, high hertz music or whatever, or just type in flow to Spotify and it'll come up with like a pretty decent playlist with no words so that you don't get distracted. But you can really get into a good flow if you find the right music.
It's kind of an idea that maybe pairs a couple of things from what you were talking about before with the inner game plus therapy. One of the things from Lewis Howes that he did with his now fiance wife is he had always wanted to start a relationship in couples counseling, and from like day one, not day one, but you know what I mean, like not when something went wrong. And so she was the first person who said yes to that. And so they each kept their own personal therapist to work out their own shit, right? Like, but they use it as like a skill building and communication, and not assuming that they knew how to do it right, but that they were learning and growing and overcoming a lot of traumas and things like that. So they had their own individual stuff, but then they started the relationship with a counselor to help them, communicate and start off on the right foot. So I thought that was kind of interesting and a little different, and I
Yeah.
guess it worked for them.
Yeah, on that subject, and with that, a lot of people don't understand that relationship management is a skill set. It's not something that you're good at overnight, and it's not something that you can expect to have happen without working on it. Some
Yeah.
people that the work gets done on them, and some people do the work for themselves.
Yeah, we
So,
don't often get taught how to be in a relationship, right? We
mhm.
kind of figure it out as we go along, and then each one's so different. But I mean, I know there are coaches and things like that out there now that's more common, but there's so many skills and so many amazing things that we just aren't really taught. So
At all.
it's not from like a place of intentional. It's just that sometimes we just
Mhm.
don't know. We don't have that skill set yet.
Yeah, I
And a
think
lot of us learn from seeing like other relationships, not necessarily how to be in a relationship, but here is a relationship, take from it what you will.
that's not always
And
the best example.
Mhm.
most of the time it's not, especially in our parents' generations or the generations of the elder people in around us. They didn't therapize, like they didn't go to therapy. It was just kind of like we're in survival mode, and we got all these gang of kids to take care of, and so we're just doing our best, and it often catches up to them later. And I think you just end up seeing people who didn't put in the work end up just falling apart because they just thought like, oh, we're just going to ride this out. And it's like you're a whole human being that has your own likes and dislikes and growth, and your opinions change about things, and then the kids leave and now you have nothing that connects you, and or we make assumptions about, like, we just all have our own crap, like Ray said. So recognizing what your crap is and being aware of it before you just assume someone is going to take that on as their own personal challenge without bringing substantial value to the table, I think is where a lot of people get caught off guard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or how to be in conflict. I think that's another one that
Yeah,
we don't get taught, is like how to be in conflict with somebody that you love, and that's a skill, what to
I
do when you're
agree.
fighting.
I agree.
yeah, the communication thing is a huge thing, and it's not just for couples and relationships, but it's also just how you handle your peers and your friends. Like, I've had friends in the past that clearly I did something that bothered them, but they never addressed it with me. They kind of just ghosted. And to me, it's kind of like, okay, but I can assume where I went wrong. And in hindsight, maybe I should have reached out to confirm, like, hey, what was going on? But I was just like, if that's how they feel and they want to do that, I'm just going to keep it moving too. But like you said, Catherine, it's like we weren't taught how to properly communicate our emotions and our feelings and all the things. I don't know about you guys, but my parents were like, you want to cry? I'll give you a reason to cry about.
Absolutely.
So if that's how you're taught how to process your emotions, then when you become an adult, like, how can you expect any better? And then you put two people that were like that in a room together, in a situation together, and that's when it's okay, relationships are work because of this. Like, you have to be willing to put in the hard uncomfortableness of taking a step back and really analyzing a situation and being like, hey, this isn't the outcome that I want to have with you. Can we figure out how we can process through these situations respectably, and how we want to actually, what we want to get out of these communications and situations that we have together? But yeah, it can be hard. It can be uncomfortable. It's not something that's the first thing that pops up into our head. But I think that's where, finding a partner that wants to put in the work with you, that's where you really see the relationships that last. I mean, you talk to people that have been in marriages for over 50, 60 years, and they're going to tell you it boiled down to communication.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like the other thing that made me think about before was, I can't remember, there's two different people that come to mind, but I think Esther Perel, who talks about like you can love and be in love, and it doesn't mean that that is like a committed. It's not the same thing as necessarily a life partner, right? Like when there's you can be have chemistry, you can be attracted to someone, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is your companion, right? And so distinguishing between when you have common future values with someone, and she puts it so much better than what I just
I know
said.
what you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, like essentially, like it doesn't mean that you don't like someone or you don't get along or whatever it is, but do you actually have a future in those big lifelong goals and that companionship versus just chemistry and attraction and you like them and there's nothing really wrong, but is there something long term there if that's what you're looking for?
And I feel like we often are under this like fairy tale pressure that we put on ourselves. Like every person that you date has to be your lifelong partner. And it's like people can just have phases in your life. And if you recognize that, you release some of that like just weight that we put on stuff instead of just having it be good for now, and knowing that if you are the kind of person who only wants someone that you can spend your lifetime with, then you need to start being more discerning about who you spend time with. Because if you're occupied with someone who you know isn't your life person, then you are literally occupying that spot from the person that could be your person to ever find you. And you might miss out on opportunities just because you're wasting time with someone who you have no business trying to do
Like,
lifelong with.
like
Um,
learn the lesson and then you
yeah,
got there's a reason you're with
recognize,
them to learn some lesson, but learn
absolutely.
it faster.
Yeah, and appreciate it for what it is, instead of villainizing it or turning it into this like dark story because it wasn't what you thought it was. And like Ray said, just taking accountability for your part in that. Like, I
Mhm.
knew this person wasn't my person, but guess what? I kicked it and I stayed, and that's on me, Like, I can't just make this person be this villain because it
Yeah.
wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Like high school or middle school, like you graduated, you moved up to the next level, you learned what you needed to learn, and then you went to the next. And it doesn't mean anything bad. You just went to the next level. You learned what you
Yeah,
needed to
you
learn. You
grew.
graduated.
And Lauren, feel free to speak up.
And
You're-
I don't want to talk over anyone or any. It's been a very long day, and this is giving me the energy to work for a couple more hours. So, first of
Yay.
all, thank you to everybody here. But there was something that someone said. I can't even recall what it was at the moment, but it just brought a thought into my head because one of the things that I'm dealing with right now is I feel like I've been auditing my relationships even more. I feel like the last quarter of last year it was very intense to where I guess like the friend group or the associations I thought I had were really I that it was like this big. In reality, it was like I got three people that I really give a shit of what they're doing. And I don't talk to them all the time, but
They're your core.
exactly. Like my core is like really what I give a shit about. And, like this last quarter, I lost a friend over politics. And
Mhm.
then it really made me kind of go back over the relationship and kind of audit everything that went on before the severance. And it was very hard for me to create that separation, but now it's been months since it's happened. And now I'm at the point now where it's like, we had really good times. But in the grand scheme of everything, like this person didn't really have my best interests for some very pivotal moments. And I could easily take those feelings and create, you know,
A
this
villain story.
a tragedy.
Hmm.
Exactly. I can villainize this person and I can be upset about it and be pissed off and bitch and moan about it to everyone, but what is that going to do? besides make me relive those feelings and feel miserable. Or I could just acknowledge we had some really good times and, it kind of fizzled out, but c'est la vie, that's life. And I wish the best for him. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I did that with a lot of different relationships. And now I feel like for the longest time, I wasn't ready to bring anyone into my circle. And now I'm at this point now where my circle is empty and I'm receptive to meeting people. But it's not as easy to come into the inner circle. Like I operate as a fortress that's very hard to get in and very easy to get out. And because if someone is going to want to be with me, whether it be a romantic relationship or a friendship, they got to show me. And I also am going to want to show them that I want them there too. And if it's not mutual, it's like, okay, like, doors right there. I'm not going to stop you. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of just summarized Ray's process, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
did the audit part where you figured out your mess, yeah, put things in their appropriate places. And because you did that, you're able to clean up the mess and open up your space for something new.
Yeah.
Being very intentional about those people that you're looking for, you're going to create what you envision if you take the time to really write it down. And that honestly, it goes to what I was just saying too, of like when you have that person that maybe is putting on a face, you really have to take a step back and look at the perspective and be like, okay, because at the end of the day, I think we all are in agreement that actions speak louder than words, but sometimes we want to
Mhm.
hear the words more than we want to pay attention to the actions. But you really have to sometimes just audit that and recognize, like, okay, if you have the standards that you know you want and you put them in place, that's going to help you to discern who should be in your circle or your sphere, or, because you're not going to let that person try and play you into something that they're not. Like you have to look at their actions and be like, okay, does this fit what I'm looking for? If it doesn't, then, it's not for me.
Yeah. And being honest with yourself about like everything has a cost, right? So like the good times with these people or the time you're able to spend with somebody where they're filling a space potentially, that has a cost because it's not what you really want. So then you actively made the choice to, like you said, they weren't there for you in certain times. And I'm just using you as an example. Please tell me not to if you don't want me to. But these people, showed you who they were in different situations. But because you enjoyed them on some level, you allowed it. And now you're like, you know what? I wouldn't do that again. And I won't allow that to happen again. Once I start seeing those signals, I'm going to be like, you know what? I deserve better. And that goes back to kind of our call from last week, which was recognizing that self love is literally the foundation of what you allow into your life. And once that gets elevated, all of those other things start to fall off.
To some stuff that Lauren was saying, they a lot of people, they don't understand that the inner work and the journaling that has to be done on a constant basis. By doing so, you're iterating on your mind essentially. So you're taking, okay, this is it's almost like a snapshot of what's going on in your brain on that particular day in that particular moment. And you can use that to better yourself. Um,
Absolutely.
but if you don't use it, you lose it and you can fall back into old patterns. You can start, doing things that you said you weren't going to do. You can,
Stay unconscious.
stay, yeah, you can lose that awareness that you have just built. You may have inklings of it, but, it's not as strong, it's not as fresh. So doing the inner work is a constant process. And that being said, it's never going to be done. You're never going to complete whatever inner work you have. And you have to be okay with that. There's nobody's perfect. Give yourself grace in addition to others within reason. But if you have a very clear pattern that you're not working through, that's on you. And on that subject, we can bridge to the outside world once the inside world is ready to go
Cleaned up
enough. Yeah, because it's not going to be done. Get
or
yourself to
addressed. We
or
could say
yeah,
addressed.
address your inside world and know that one, that it exists, two, that you can do something about it. With those two facts, you're armed enough to be dangerous. So at that point, start putting yourself out there. So how do I find this person that I'm looking for, whether it's a friend or a relationship? You put yourself out there. How do you do that? There's two popular ways nowadays, and one is online, two is in person. Online can be a very, very wide pool, but it can be a very shallow pool as well. You can lose opportunities because of stupid reasons. You didn't text back fast enough. You
Your
missed
profile picture is trash.
yeah, exactly.
You're
Uh,
holding up a fish for no damn reason.
Oh gosh.
yeah, so like, and it's subjective. Like you can miss out on, for example, your best friend or the love of your life because, you set your age 1 year lower or 1 year higher.
Right.
So there's a lot of room for error when it comes to online. Plus, let's say you meet somebody like in person from online and you have absolutely zero chemistry with this person. Over text, they're the most bubbly person, whatever. You meet them in person and it's like, all right, this person's a loser.
Snooze
Not to judge,
Yeah.
but you catch my drift. Anybody who's online dated at any point in their life knows exactly what I'm talking about to a T.
Mm.
So, me personally, I am a big advocate for meeting people in person. And that's with friends, that's with, relationships. So, that's how it's been done since before the internet. And that's most of time. So, let's say you want to meet this person in person. What do you do? First question you can ask yourself is, where does this person hang out? If you're looking for a fit person, where are you going to find them? The gym. I hear run clubs are very popular nowadays. That's a great place to start. If you're looking for somebody that eats healthy, hang out at a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or a farmer's market.
Oh,
You're
Sprouts has some nice people.
Yeah, Sprouts is fire. What hobbies do they have? Do they paint? Are they artsy type? Are they like Raul and they dance their ass off doing salsa? Do they like hiking? There's hiking clubs. Are you looking to meet somebody that's an entrepreneur? Go to a networking event. If you're looking to meet somebody that's has, a possible spiritual capacity that you're looking for, go to that church. There's a lot of different ways you can find people that are like the person that you want to be around. You just have to use your brain. And while you're doing this, these are places that you should want to be anyways. You should be exploring your own hobbies. You should
Right.
be, going to these places because you want to be there because you like doing these things. Do the things that you're passionate about, and you'll meet people with similar passions than you.
Or even just
It's
trying to do
magnetic.
something new. Because I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
Raul, like, that wasn't something he was familiar with. I think he just wanted to expand his hobby
Hmm.
circle,
Right.
which is
Right.
cool. And I know Raul said, I don't know if you guys saw the chat, but he said dancers are not it. But maybe the friends
Oh,
you make at the dances have friends that aren't there that, so it's bigger than just, it's about expanding the social circle so that you can meet their social circle. Because, yeah,
yeah.
you'll never know who you're going to come across just by, like, I think they say one person widens your network by, like, I don't even want to say a number, but at
I
least
know.
six
It's a
people.
it's impressive, whatever it is.
substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he could be like at a restaurant or at a farmer's market and salsa music comes on and he knows what to do and now somebody sees him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's all magnetic
Mhm.
and yeah, I 100% agree.
And because you put those words onto paper of what this person looks like, acts like, their values, you now are primed to find something like that. It's called a reticular activation system. It's
Ooh,
essentially your brain gets rid of a
filter.
lot of information. Your brain is a very powerful organ in your body, and it would get overloaded if it took in everything that came into it. So it has to filter because you wrote it down. It's top of mind and it's something that it's not getting filtered any longer. And all that being said, you know, exactly what Jackie's saying. You're not going out to meet this person. That shouldn't be the first thing on your brain. You have to have a
Right.
freedom of outcome in the process of doing these things. You're meeting people that are like you, people that are looking to grow or improve or do this one thing or that one thing. They have these passions, and those people have friends too. And those people's friends have friends. So, what you're trying to do is increase your social circle enough to where you have no choice but to meet somebody you have chemistry with in general. And this is, this gets, if you did this, let's say you moved to a brand new city, you could have, 20 friends by this weekend.
Yeah, that's how I
So,
met when I moved to Florida. I had no friends, like
mhm.
literally zero. And my boyfriend worked all the time. And so I was like, well, how do I want to meet people. I don't want to meet random people on the internet. And
Mhm.
so I started volunteering at the Humane Society and I met my friend Beth, who's on this call right now. We've been friends for 15, 16 years now
Oh
since
my
I've lived in
gosh.
Florida, And it was because I was like, nice people are going to be at the Humane Society. Like, I'm going to meet like decent, kind people who love animals at the Humane Society. And her and my friend Lori are one of my like two of my best friends. So I'm a huge proponent of that, of like put yourself out there. You can't just sit at home and complain that
Mhm.
there's no cool people in the world or that you can't meet anybody. And that's going to happen.
If
That's
that's what you
exactly,
tell yourself, then
you
yeah,
know?
that's your reality.
I think
Hmm.
the other thing that, because for me, it's also just what you tell yourself. Because if you tell yourself, like, nobody wants to talk to me, nobody wants to, like, get to know me, or I have nothing to contribute in a relationship or a friendship, then yeah,
You're
that is going to
right.
be your reality. And
Yeah.
no one's going to want to talk to you because you're going to have you are
Mm.
going to have that cloud over you. But, if you go, like, I had a real estate coach forever, and they're like, go to a grocery store and go talk to random people. I'm like, okay. But honestly, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go here and I'm not networking. I'm going to go make friends and just be myself. And the people who are not about it, I'll know that they are not about it. And then the people who are, we're going to have like great connection, great organic conversation. It's just like, telling yourself, I'm going to go in here with an open mind and an open heart, I think that primes you to being receptive to those relationships.
Hmm.
You can't
Agreed.
walk around with the cloud and expect people to welcome you.
Right.
You know, it's
Unless you want cloudy people in your
unless you want
life.
cloud. Yeah, exactly. Be positive and you'll attract positive people. Be negative, you'll attract negative people.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I think keeping an open mind in all aspects is important too, because even just when you talk about creating this ideal person, and you kind of mentioned with the filtering of the characteristics on like a dating app, I think the same thing could go for the physical attributes of what you're looking for in a person. Because I know, like, and I think about this all the time. I was such a different person 5 years ago when I met Ray, and like, I'm like, man, how did we? And I know I wasn't in a good place, but also like Ray was kind of shorter than I thought I'd end up with a guy. And like things like that. It's like I think had I not shallow
Your
me, I would
priorities changed.
well,
Ivanhoe's
yeah,
having way too much fun with that comment. I just want to point out.
that's hilarious. But yeah, I think like obviously had I let my shallowness of height get in the way, which at the time it did, it wasn't until COVID where I actually like was forced to get to know this guy that I got to know him, and like that's not even something I think about. Like I can't even imagine. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. It's like you might have this idea of like my
Ray's
person has to have
personality is like 7 feet tall, so he's
oh
all good.
yeah. But in the same regards of like wanting someone that was fit, I was fucking fat, y'all. Like I asked him, I'm like, I don't know, like he must have seen it in me that I had the capability to like, you know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. And I always ask him, I'm like, how'd you know? Because it's just, yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna have those like this is what I'm attracted to, but you have to really narrow down what the priorities are of your list. And like if that person has that and the growth mindset, they can get anything and everything else on that list too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, the growth mindset should be, in my opinion, a huge factor for anybody looking to choose a friend or a mate.
100%.
Iron sharpens iron. So, and to address what Jackie said, there was an old dating coach who used to say, attraction is not a choice.
Oh,
Chemistry can override a lot. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, this is my ideal person, but I'm open to being convinced otherwise. And that's where the openness comes in. You have to allow yourself to give people grace enough to get to know them. Obviously, if somebody is a physical one for you, it's probably not going to be the love of your life.
Yeah, the
Uh,
chemistry might be tough.
it might affect the chemistry a little bit, but it's a lot of people don't understand how many factors line up. And even back to the online versus in person, going from online, meeting somebody in person, you're like, oh, this person was like, they're great at conversation. Oh, they're really pretty. And you meet them in person and you see how not pretty they are or how dry they may be. It hurts the chemistry off the bat. And it's like, this is probably not going to go anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah, catfish, exactly.
It was real, it was fun, but it wasn't real fun.
Yeah.
I
That's
love it.
funny. Oh man. But yeah, good conversation, guys. Anyone else have
Agreed.
anything to add?
I mean, mine wasn't really going to be like a huge addition. I feel like it was just kind of sharing my experience too of like Noah and I met through a mutual friend who I happened to work with, and her and I had a lot in common. Obviously, he and her did too. And the funny thing is, like, as priorities changed in life, like, we kind of realized that the two of us obviously started dating at that point, but like, that we weren't really in alignment with this mutual friend anymore. And so both of us just kind of made the decision to move forward, I think, from that friendship. And then the funny thing, I think, and obviously you guys already know that, but like the funny thing is that I think through Noah and just like what I've appreciated in his qualities, like he's shared with me so many people in his life that possess that, like half of you guys on the call. Like I would not know Jackie and Ray or Amanda at all if it weren't for being with Noah. And I'm super fortunate to have those connections. So I think going back to like how one person can expand your circle, like I basically feel like I absorbed his entire friend group, and I'm so happy about it because like half the time I'm like, dang, like these people, like the people that I've met through him, I almost feel like I'm closer to sometimes than the people I already had in my own circle, just because there's so much that we have in common, and I think we aspire to do a lot of the same things, and we kind of motivate each other to get to that level. So that's been really transformative for me. And
You met them at a different growth level.
yeah, and like I'm so obviously fortunate for my husband, like he's great and all, but also like, the added bonus of just all the other things that I've been exposed to through that relationship, and I'm so grateful for it because I almost can't imagine like what my life would look like without that. I feel like I definitely would be pretty stagnant, I'm not gonna lie. But
Oh yeah, I'm glad to know you too.
you don't have to say that, it's okay.
Lauren, what you got?
So Jackie and Ramon know my partner. They have heard the story of me meeting my partner and everything. And Ramon has known me in some really awesome times in my life, and he's known me in some really scary and not so awesome times in my life as well. And my partner and I, not to get into like the nuts and bolts of like how everything kind of came to be, but we were dealing with our own traumas at the time. And there was a part in this conversation where we talked about how trauma bonds can build or destroy you.
Totally.
And there were many times where I thought that the things we were dealing with was, it really made me question our relationship, and it just kind of like scared me. But at the same time, it's like Ramon has mentioned growth mindset. I did not have a growth mindset 5 years ago. I was a very different person. I was doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. And my partner, he was doing a lot of those as well. But the difference was is he had a growth mindset. And it's the reaction that we had when we started really leaning in to each other and trying to get to know each other like on a different level. It was like fire and gasoline in a good way, because his growth mindset allowed me to change my perception on, I'll just say, life in general, because he really just, my life was in a million pieces, and he came in and just like shattered them into a million more, and it all kind of like fell into place. And it's not perfect, those 2 million pieces have, not all of them have fallen into place, but I'm with someone who's helping me sort those pieces out, if that makes sense. So being with someone who has a growth mindset can catapult you into like a totally different area that you never would have thought that you'd be in. So
as long as you're willing to grow too.
exactly.
Like if
Yeah.
you hadn't been, I'm sure that wouldn't have gone where it is now, you know?
Nice. That's awesome. Well, yeah, good conversation, guys. I know we've gone pretty late over. If you're new here, we normally do a meditation at the end of the Zoom, which we try to finish by 8. If you guys are able to stick around, we'll probably do a quick meditation with Monica. If not, feel free to hop off. I know it's already 8:18, so if you gotta go, no hard feelings. But yeah, the meditations are pretty special. I'll let Monica take it away. I'll get the music set up for you, Mon.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'd love it if you guys could stay. We're gonna get centered and cozy. And I think tonight we might try to picture this ideal person, even if it's the same person that you're with. So if you're new, you can turn your camera off or stay on camera. It's up to you. I will be here, camera on the whole time. So we all have our eyes closed. So we're not going to be looking at you. Okay. So let's start by taking a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. And as you exhale, really empty out your belly. Empty out your chest. Oftentimes we don't actually breathe all the way in, and we don't often exhale all the way out. So we hold on to a lot of old stagnant energy, old stagnant air. So on your next inhale, you should have a little bit more room. With each exhale, you want to release even more. Release your shoulders. Release the muscles in your face. Release any tension in your neck. And really concentrate on tightening your core when you empty your belly, forcing that air out, pushing it out of your lungs. So on that next inhale, it's all fresh. And you can breathe directly into your belly and filling it up, feeling your chest rise. With fresh energy. If you choose to do today's exercise after today's call, maybe start with this meditation. Start by clearing out your old energies, your old beliefs, your old thoughts, anything that's no longer serving you. Old energy from your past relationships, or old assumptions about your current partner. Whatever things may be holding you back from finding things to appreciate about this person or attracting the mate that matches your perfect person, that matches that person that's going to fit into your life, that can be the puzzle piece, the ignition to your growth. So as we clear away old energies, being conscious of the things that have not worked in the past, being conscious of the ways that we didn't show up as our best selves, being aware of how that did not serve our relationships, learning new skills, applying new skills, and allowing for opportunities to meet new people, allowing for meeting our partners in new ways, finding new things to appreciate about them, or reconnecting to the things that we appreciated when we first met them. Allowing there to be a refresh. Creating a clean space to work from. I think that is what meditation is truly about, is creating a blank slate each day so that we can be intentional with how we spend our time, how we show up for each person in our life, how we present ourselves to the world. So if you give yourself the opportunity to go through this exercise, even if you're not looking to meet anyone new, it can be so powerful in creating a better, more intentional connection with the people that are already in your life. Because it's really a learning experience. You can learn so much about who you are, who you were, and how you are who you are today. How you are who you are today. Mapping that out for yourself is so powerful. So I hope you give yourself that gift of getting to know yourself better. And in turn, you will give that gift to the people in your life. Allowing yourself to love better and allowing yourself to be loved better. Spending time visualizing the person that you love and that you want to love. It'll help create a magnetic field around you. It'll activate that reticular activating system, consciously and unconsciously. And if you're with this person, it'll create this person of your dreams. It'll create this filter of learning how to appreciate the little things that you wanted so long in a partner, and here it is in front of you. And if you are hoping to meet someone, it'll put that energy out so that when you do meet them, you will notice the things that are on this priority list. Help you make a intentional decision. Keep it front of mind. Keeping your mind open to all the possible ways that love can enter your life. Believing that you are worthy of love in your life. Take a deep breath in to that belief in your heart. That belief will fuel your desires and your intentions. Feel it filling up your entire being. Feel it filling up the room you're in. Feel it creating a entire energy field around you so that you can show up as the most lovable version of yourself. Show up as the most loving version of yourself. I want to say thank you so much for showing up today and sharing your energy with us. We appreciate you so much, each and every one of you. The light in me sees and recognizes the light in each one of you. Namaste. Feel free to wiggle your fingers and toes. You may want to stretch a little bit as you slowly come back to the room. You can open your eyes.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Noise.
Thank you guys for everyone that was here tonight. If you didn't know, our theme for February has a love theme. So last week we talked about self-love and self-worth, which that video just got posted today. So if you missed that Zoom, definitely I highly recommend checking that one out. And then next week we're talking about navigating relationships, talking about growing together or growing apart. So that should be a good one for some good conversation too. But yeah, I'll leave you guys to it. I hope you finish the rest of your week out strong. And if you guys need anything, you know where to find us. Check us out in the Facebook group. And yeah, have a good week, guys.
I'm going to put today's document in the Facebook group so that everyone can
Perfect.
access it.
Sweet. All right, cool. I hope everybody got something they could take away from it.
Yes, absolutely.